Hello once again and welcome back to the Atheist Sermons. Last time I talked a little bit about the meaning of life. I come to my personal conclusion that we each give our own lives meaning, and the very idea that life has some universal meaning is sort of ridiculous. But to each his own. Tonight, by the way, as promised in an earlier video, I'm joined by this wooden duck, this other wooden duck, and these two golden ducks. They're actually brass. And they're actually bookends. Anyways, this is part 2 of the meaning of life, and what I'd like to talk about is meaning within life. And this is a very interesting topic, and I think it's a very uplifting one, and I think you'll see what I mean. Let's just dive right in. Things in life that have meaning. I'm going to use an example that's extremely commonplace. Light. I know that seems a little strange, but hear me out. If I wanted to get light in this room, and I were God, it would simply be a case of willing it to be so, and so it is. Now, there's nothing particularly meaningful about that. If you will something to happen, and it just happens, it's actually by definition devoid of meaning. And it's also, frankly, not that impressive. God wills light, and there's light. Consider one alternative. Imagine that humans have to get light into this room. Think about the implications of what that takes. To get light into this room, you must first invent the hammer. And then you have to mine for resources. Then you have to organize into a society. Then you have to develop science and technology. Then you have to create electricity. Then you have to create power plants. And you have to develop some form of conveyance to get that power around a country. It's absolutely mind-blowing. Think of the amount of people it took throughout all history to get to the stage that we're at least here in Canada, where we can flick a light switch and we have light. It seems commonplace, and we do take it for granted, but there is a vast, vast number of people that were required with incredible knowledge to make that happen. When you compare that with simply willing light, and there it is, there's no comparison. Human will, wit, and creation is vastly more impressive and vastly more meaningful, and you can apply that example to anything. Think about anything you have in your life. Then you should try to trace backwards how that came to be. And not just the physical materials, but everything that was required to get the physical materials. All the inventions that had to come before it. To me, that has so much more meaning to it. So I hope that makes sense. Something as silly as light does have a lot of meaning. Humans created light. And it is very, very powerful. Let's have another example of meaning in life. How about a young child has cancer, goes on chemotherapy, recovers, gets better, and beats the cancer. That is an amazing thing. It's a fantastic thing. Maybe God had a hand in it. Maybe God did it. Maybe God was watching out for the child and decided this child needs to live. God snapped his proverbial fingers and the child gets better. That's interesting, I guess, but it's frankly not that impressive. God has unlimited power. If I had unlimited power, I suppose I could snap my fingers and make all cancer in the world go away. I wouldn't expect praise for it, to be frankly honest, because it would be easy with unlimited power. Perhaps God did it, but if God did, it's just devoid of meaning. Consider one alternative. Humans did it. Just like electricity and light. Imagine the great history and human knowledge that's required to develop medicine, and medicine that continues to develop and improve as we go on in time. Medicine is not an isolated technology. It requires all kinds of other technologies to exist. Like having modern cancer treatment, you must first invent the hammer. What humans have been able to accomplish from just using roots and herbs to now having these incredibly effective cancer treatments, you can get prosthetic limbs. There's amazing things you can do with modern medicine, but they only exist because of human will. Once again, that has tons of meaning. It has tons of history. It's an incredible thing, and I find it so uplifting to think about what humans have been able to do and what they're going to do in the future. It could go on and on forever, the amazing accomplishments of humankind. My last obvious example, I guess, I've often been approached by religious people in conversations. They'll say, don't you think it's so amazing, this earth that exists? All the animals and plants and everything is so beautiful, and it's just such a wonderful, majestic place. Well, yes, I do, actually. I think it's amazing. I think that every blade of grass is quite an amazing thing. So, how did all that get here? How did the earth come to look like it did? How did animals come to be the way they are? Well, if you consider that God did it, once again, God wills dogs and cats and humans and mountains and rivers and lakes onto the planet, and it is so. It's, again, I guess that's kind of impressive. It's totally without meaning, though. There's no meaning, once again, to simply willing something into being and having it happen. Consider the alternative. Earth has existed for billions of years, and on the surface of this planet is an ever-changing topographical map. We have water, we're being bombarded with cosmic dust. Think about earthquakes and volcanic activity. Think about the erosion capacity of water. Think about the diversity of life and how it all evolved from single-celled organisms. It's absolutely mind-blowing. And there is incredible meaning there. Just think, all the continents at one point in this planet were in different places than they are now. That is truly mind-boggling. And it's just so meaningful to think that that kind of change can happen. It makes me incredibly joyful to think about things like this, to think about how incredible the earth is, not because it was just willed into existence by God, but instead because of the huge history of it all. It's really quite astounding. That's meaning in life. That's looking around you and seeing incredible things, acknowledging the incredible history behind it, and allowing yourself to feel joy that these things can happen. And no less amazing is human accomplishment, human will. So one can consider giving all this credit to God, and maybe God deserves it. But I just think it's so much more meaningful when what we have today when we look around is this incredible, astounding, absolutely amazing product of human will and the history of the planet and of the galaxy and of the universe. It just is so much more meaningful to me. Anyways, that's the episode on meaning in life as part 2 of the meaning of life. If you didn't check out that video, there's a link in the description. Please remember to subscribe, like, share. I really hope that you can get something out of this, and please leave comments below, because maybe you can give something back, something I haven't thought of, and I do love learning new things. I don't have a script, again.